Arizona sports. Breaking news.
Are you going to break the news, Jared?
Yeah. According to Adam Schefter, and this is the real Adam Schefter, you never know these days, there was a trade made. The Arizona Cardinals traded Isaiah Simmons to the New York Giants for a 7th-round pick.
Yikes. So that takes care of that.
That takes care of that, and so I'll just
go ahead.
Start. We'll get into the reboot, but it will be just mostly the reaction to this. Give me your reaction to everything regarding this story. Isaiah Simmons traded to the New York Giants for a 7th-round pick next year.
Not surprised he got traded. I mean, the reaction, I said it early this week, Isaiah Simmons and his performance or lack thereof on Saturday night against the Chiefs was the most talked about story with the Cardinals. He was only out there for 20-plus plays, but, man, he was not good. He looked lost out there. So when you consider looking that lost at this point, I can't be all that shocked that they only got a 7th-round pick for him. His stock's not very high.
No,
right
the
now,
tape
Tim.
the tape doesn't lie, Vinny.
Yeah.
We all saw the game. Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rawlis saw the game. They've been watching him in practice. They try to move him to safety. They try to salvage his time here in Arizona, trying to salvage his NFL career. He was a liability out there. He was unplayable, and that was in a preseason game. From what they saw, from what we all saw, you couldn't put this kid on the field in week 1 against the Commanders. And we talked about it on Monday. And was Isaiah Simmons even going to make the team? And by the fact that you got a 7th-round pick for him, to me,
that's almost like
that tells me that they were willing to release him in a few days. And the fact that he was a top 10 pick just a few years ago, I'm sure the Giants are like, well, hell, we'll take a flyer on him. Yeah, we'll give you a 7th-round pick. We'll see if our guys can find a spot for him.
He's on his rookie deal. There's not the 5th-year extension. It was not picked up. So this is like a free tryout.
And
basically,
what a colossal disappointment. What a colossal miss by the previous regime.
Yeah, that's another one of the
perfect
takeaways.
icing on the cake to the end of that regime.
Give me a break. And you go back and you look at the pre-draft grades. Isaiah Simmons was such a tremendous athlete coming out of Clemson. But there were questions. There were questions about where he would fit in the NFL. Mm-hmm. There were questions about his ability to cover. Questions about him being a tweener. But you figured that. And we talked about it. This is not hindsight. We liked the pick. But again, we're not getting paid millions of dollars to make these decisions.
Yeah.
Steve Keim ignored a lot of red flags, took him over Tristan Wirfs, and now they pay the next regime pays a dear
took him over CeeDee Lamb as well.
Price.
Yeah,
pays a dear price.
It's just another mark on Steve Keim's draft resume for the Arizona Cardinals. And look, he's still responsible. He's like, a pitcher that's been removed from the game. He's still responsible for some of those guys that are on base. Yeah. So this might not be over yet.
No,
I'll say it. I'm not going to sit here and play revisionist history and say I told you so. I was thrilled about Isaiah Simmons at number 8. But man, their inability and his inability to adapt to anything. Wow. It's one of the really bad draft picks in recent history, and that's saying something.
I pointed this out yesterday or the day before, but 1 year ago, he was right now. Yes. He was given the green dot to be in charge of the entire defense under a completely different regime of the Cardinals. But it is amazing how far he's fallen in that time.
Like, we don't even want this guy on the team.
That's what trading him for a 7th-round pick. Literally right before your last preseason game. Not even giving them one more preseason game to sort of.
It's essentially it's glorified releasing him.
Yeah.
We don't even want him on the team. And not even at a backup role. You are unplayable. You are a liability. Pack your crap and get out of here.
I wonder if they could have traded him for Trey Lance.
That's an interesting backup.
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, in case you're just joining us here on the reboot, Adam Schefter breaking the news earlier. Isaiah Simmons traded from the Cardinals to the New York Giants for a 7th-round pick. in next year's draft. Man, I give this regime a little bit of credit. And again, this
100%.
illustrates just how loyalty does not carry over from regime to regime. This was not their guy. It was not their pick. They tried him in a different spot. Didn't work out. A lot of teams would have said, oh, man, this is a bad look for our organization if we're going to get nothing or bench or cut an 8th overall pick. They didn't wait for it to turn into a real regular season problem.
No,
so
Vinny,
credit there.
No, Vinny, you cut your losses. You know what's
Yes.
a worse look? Putting a guy on the field who can't cover anybody.
It's going to hurt you.
That's a worse look.
But are you surprised that they didn't give him the last, one more preseason game?
No, they've seen enough. They've seen enough.
Yeah, this was not a decision made on
One
Just
game.
just this
No,
last.
they're
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
him every day in practice.
Yeah.
Swiss.
And it's such an unfortunate situation on 100 levels. You know,
Yeah.
and because you're talking about a top 10 pick.
Let this be a lesson and a cautionary tale for the Swiss Army knives coming into the draft. If you want to open a wine bottle, are you going to use a proper corkscrew or a Swiss Army knife? You're going to use a proper corkscrew if you've got the choice. If you want to
file your nails.
Yeah, if you want to file your nails,
You want
are
to
you
cut
using it-
something.
Yeah,
Here,
all of it.
Look, everybody wants a Swiss Army knife, but then you realize, well, the Swiss Army is always neutral, aren't they?
What do they ever accomplish?
I guess that's why they're neutrals, because they only have
Swiss-
those little tiny.
Swiss Army knife type players are good in baseball.
In basketball, even.
Yeah.
Positionless basketball.
Doesn't work in
Doesn't work in
professional
football. The players are all too good and too fast. Man, that sucks. I can't believe they traded him for a 7th-round pick. We joked that, are you going to really trade him if all you can get is a 6th-round pick? Just yesterday we were saying that.
We just
And
said
they didn't
it.
even
We
get
just
that.
said it about Trey Lance
We're
15 minutes
we're
ago.
months removed from watching DeAndre Hopkins go for nothing. They couldn't get anything for DeAndre Hopkins.
Isn't
At
that
least they got something for Isaiah
Right.
Simmons. And
That-
the weird part is Hopkins is still good.
1 year ago, if you would have said, you're going to lose DeAndre Hopkins and Isaiah Simmons while they're under contract, and combined all you're going to get is a 7th-round pick. This is a tear down and rebuild.
And by the way, you're going to lose them by choice.
So that graphic from the preseason game the other night that did not show Isaiah Simmons as a shoo-in
They knew something.
to make this team, they absolutely knew something.
Well, there you go. You've been rebooted.
Isaiah Simmons, you've been booted.
Now the Giants, it's up to them to reboot him if he was ever
Definitely.
booted in the first place.
Definitely worth it if you're the Giants. 7th-round
yeah.
pick, and you're getting a guy with all that athleticism and talent.
With no financial commitments past this year, absolutely.
We see him as an outside linebacker.
Wouldn't that be
I know.
brutal if
I
he's
know.
Hassan Reddick's us right now, and
Yeah.
they figure it.
This is Arizona. That could very well happen. We see him more as a punt returner. We always have.
H-back.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more reaction to the Isaiah Simmons news. Traded to the Giants for a 7th-round pick.